So how's your week been going since I last saw you?
It's been fairly busy, just with keeping up with school and mostly keeping up with school. Um, yeah, I got to do a couple of fun things with friends this week, like watch a Lord of the Rings marathon with a couple of friends. I've got a game thing tonight, and last night I got to go to a trans Christian film that was put on by a group called Generous Space.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. One of my friends was on the panel, and I got into some really interesting ways of viewing it through a Christian lens.
Wow, that's really interesting. It sounds like.
Yeah, it's something that's been kind of on my mind. Like, I'm not looking to transition or anything, but just being part of a community that's open to trans people and LGBTQ people.
Mm-hmm. That's really important to you right now.
Yeah. My old church fell apart earlier this year. And while it was falling apart, a lot of kind of homophobic and transphobic things came out from people that I didn't expect it from. And I don't really want to get into another church community that's a part of that.
Right.
Or is doing those type of things in ways that I may not be seeing, but are still there.
Yeah, totally. I need to pause you for 1 sec and let my cat into the apartment.
Okay.
1 moment. I'm sorry.
No problem. Oh, hi.
Yes, this is Lola. I'm glad you get to meet her.
Hi, Lola.
She's all wet. I know. Oh. Okay. Thanks for your patience.
No problem.
The benefits from working from home.
Yeah. A very cute guy.
So you're feeling like you'd like to find another church community, but you're really wanting to make sure that they share your values, including values about accepting queer and trans people. Does that sound right?
Yeah. I think for the most part, yeah. I don't know if I do want to be a part of another church community. I just don't know if I'm ready for that yet. Yeah, I was a part of that community, the previous one, for about 7 years. It was the first kind of church that I kind of chose to go to as an adult instead of going as a kid and a teen. And I really didn't expect it to end the way it ended, or kind of have those pieces in it.
So you were there for 7 years, and you had chosen it. It sounds like it must have meant quite a lot to you because of that.
Yeah.
And then for it to end with those disappointing emergences, it's still upsetting to you. Like you're still healing from that process. It sounds like.
Yeah.
When did that take place? When did the church kind of dissolving happen?
I guess around April. The pastor at the time he had a heart condition, still does have a heart condition. And so he was kind of recognizing, I can't run this church forever. I have to kind of start slowing down. And so for a long time he was like, I'm putting things in place, asking people to take over parts of my job to make sure it keeps going when I'm done, and that never happened. But he was saying that until the end, which I thought was weird and kind of screwed us over. So yeah, he just kind of dropped out of things, and that was the end of it. We met, kind of the people met up a couple times over the summer. A couple more specific groups to go, like, hey, do we want to keep doing this thing? Do we want to keep this church afloat? Because we could if we all tried. But, like, is it something worth keeping afloat, or is this a natural ending point for it? And it kind of felt like a natural ending point.
Okay, so there was quite a bit of personal involvement from you and your community in
Yeah.
funding.
Which is odd, because it was, like, in some ways, it was a very transitional community. A lot of people would come in. We used to run, like, a biblical learning program. So people would come in for a year and live with us, and then they would leave.
Oh, wow.
So there used to be a lot of turnover. And then there was, like, a couple of us who would stay and kind of form, like, the basis of the community.
They need to go away.
So yeah.
And so that group of people who were kind of the basis, a fairly small but consistent group of folks.
Yeah. Yeah, there was about 15 of us that would just kind of stick through it.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know, we all kind of felt like we'd been left without anything.
Yeah, and it sounds like your leader was being a bit irresponsible by telling you one thing and not really following up on it.
Yeah. I used to have a bit more mixed feelings about it, but a lot of that kind of transphobic stuff came from him and his wife, so I feel a little less divided about it. Yeah.
And when in the process, if you don't mind me asking, did the transphobic, homophobic stuff start coming into play?
Yeah. It was after, publicly it was after. There were a couple of moments where he said some stuff about my friend Casper. But apparently there was other stuff, because Casper used to be a part of the church community, and as he was transitioning, there were things that came up that were kind of hidden behind the scenes. And that kind of came to light when things fell apart.
So was Casper then sharing with you what he had experienced?
Yeah. Yeah, he was a bit shocked that, like, most people didn't know. He didn't really get around that this was happening. Because, I mean, like, why would you talk about it? But, yeah, he was very surprised to find out that people had no real idea that was going on in the background.
Oh, wow. So you knew that there was this trans person who was part of your church community, and based on what you saw and were aware of, you were under the impression that it was a welcoming community for your friend, and then
Yeah.
discovered that it hadn't been.
Yeah. I don't know how affirming I thought they were and how welcoming I thought they were, but he would show up to church every once in a while. So I thought like maybe he doesn't enjoy it, but like I didn't think there was anything to that extreme.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that was a lot to take in.
Yeah. And how is that sitting with you now, thinking about all this?
No, I feel really sad that that happened to him. It means a lot to me. And I also feel kind of distrustful of the church right now. Like, I was with them for 7 years and I never picked up on any of this. Or not in a way that sent off big enough red flags. And so, like, I really miss being a part of that community, even with its flaws. And I want that feeling of community. I want to be back in a church, but I don't know if I could trust people in a church right now.
Because your trust of your former community was challenged.
Yeah.
So there's sadness and distrust, and there's also a longing for what you had.
Yeah. It feels weird to miss it, because like it clearly was not healthy, but I don't know, like I miss having that sense of identity and like knowing there were people I could count on. And there's still like a couple of them who I keep in contact with and talk to, and they're close friends, but that's like that portion of what it was.
Yeah. I mean, let's explore a little bit, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
The kind of
Is
conflict. Yeah, you don't know yet. Just this, you kind of expressed that it might be weird to miss what you had because of the knowledge that you now have. But it seems like there is a lot of really meaningful, like it was an important part of your life, and there's a lot of meaningful community and connection that doesn't seem surprising that you would miss.
Yeah. I mean, like, pulling it apart, there are elements that I really loved, separate from things going on in the background. And I'm kind of in that process of figuring out, like, what was good about it. As I kind of have been thinking about doing the same with the pastor, of like, he taught me for 7 years. Like, I don't think it's a good idea to throw all of that out.
Yeah.
Because there's probably stuff in there that is good, but I'm more worried than I've ever been that there's stuff in there that I don't know, that I've taken at face value, and
Yeah, so you have a lot of picking picking this apart to do
Mm-hmm.
in your journey of deciding what lessons to honor that you learned from him, and how to distinguish between what you want to keep and what you don't.
Yeah.
That does sound really difficult.
I don't really know how to do it on my own. And I don't think it's gonna be like sitting down for a weekend and figuring it out. I think it's gonna be like when it comes up again.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay. Like,
Yeah, like this.
as
It will,
things come up.
yeah, exactly. Like unfold as time goes on. Different things will come up to show you. Yeah. It sounds like there are some. I'm just thinking about what this says about you. You know, that you're deeply impacted by what happened, that you really care about justice, not just for yourself, but for other people in your community.
It's just funny because like the beginnings of the church were really rooted in social justice. And I guess that's always like a thing of like, as we progress, the people who do progression usually end up, I don't know, people fall behind in progression.
So in a way, it sounds like you have some compassion or understanding that people in that community were not all progressing at the same rate.
Like I still don't really want to talk to them, but I don't know. I think it's a bit hard to separate at this point of looking at like a pastor who cared for his community and worked hard for like a decade versus the pastor who like was actively transphobic. Yeah.
Does it, because I'm thinking about how a pastor is kind of an iconoclastic figure, like there's a lot of power and symbolism in that role. Relating to other figures in our lives that we might have learned from, or that might have had power. There might have been leaders in our experience. Does it resonate at all with other experiences of authority figures in your life, in your past?
I don't think with this piece of it as much. Like my parents have always been super accepting, and like I grew up in like fine arts theater camp type things, so that was my friend, that was my group. I don't know. I think there's a feeling of abandonment, which I kind of associate with my sister, not in like a heavy way, but she was like a guardian in my house because she was 16 by the time I was born, and she moved to Hong Kong when I was 3. So I have a lot of memories of missing my sister, and we've reconnected more since. I don't know, like a lot of being in that community was feeling like people were always leaving. Like I'd build these connections up with people, and then they would go back to, because usually they'd come in internationally, so they'd go back to their home countries. And then it just fell apart, and it just kind of felt like a final abandonment.
An ending, a loss.
Yeah, like it was a surprise in that way, just because it was like so repeatedly stated, we'll keep going, we'll figure it out outside of this. And it fell apart so quickly. Like, I remember going away in April to see my sister and her family who live out in Ontario, and talking with them about it. And by the time I came home, like, things had already mostly fallen apart.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you weren't here even to witness that kind of final dissolution?
They had a goodbye mid-June, I think. And that was just a weird time for everyone, because it was like, knowing them, they didn't want to do it. It was probably something from the church at large they wanted to do. So knowing that they hated it.
They being the pastor?
The pastor and his wife.
Okay.
His wife spent a good chunk of it plugging her business that she's doing.
Oh God.
It was a weird time. Someone who hadn't shown up in like years came and was like, I'm going to really miss you guys, and this is about me now. And like, me and a couple of my close friends from the church just went to like the spaghetti factory outlet after, and just sat and just went like, what happened there? Because it was just chaos. Oh man, that was ridiculous.
And you said that you have a couple friends that you've stayed in touch with from the church.
Yeah.
Right. Has processing it with them been a helpful part of coping with this change?
Yeah, I think having like people, like being close to the people who were the most affected by it.
Such as your friend who's trans.
Yeah. And kind of knowing what happened there has been helpful, and kind of going. I'm glad that I know, because I wouldn't want to be hurting them through this by not knowing, I guess.
Yeah.
Making them kind of go through that on their own. Yeah. A lot of them were there for most of it.
So they have that shared context with you, like shared knowledge.
Yeah. And just kind of looking at each other going like, yeah, that was a really bad experience.
Did you have that information from your friend before things with the church ended, or did you learn about it after?
I think for the most part after. I knew like he didn't feel comfortable um, being with most of the people from the church, but I don't know. I wasn't sure if it was like things people were doing or him feeling unsafe with people who haven't explicitly said that they're accepting of his transition. Because I know for a while he kind of stepped back from everything and just kind of went, "Are you okay? Yes or no? Are you okay? Yes or no?" And just did that check slowly. Which I think, yeah, that's a fair move and makes sense.
So I wonder if part of it is that you weren't able to have conversations with the pastor, with other members of your community about the trans acceptance stuff kind of while this was all going down.
I was a bit worried about having some of those conversations because there were a couple of people where I'm like, I'm not sure where you land, and like because of it, like I've basically cut out a chunk of people from my life. And I feel like with reason, but I was hesitant to cut out more than I need to.
Yeah, that's a big decision to make.
Yeah. I feel like I made it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Just because of the nature of it. At least with the people who were like explicitly like named and
named by your friend as having been transphobic.
Yeah.
I feel like we might be getting to the end of our time. I'd like to maybe at another point hear more about that process of needing to make those choices about your relationships.
Yeah.
How that went for you.
Yeah, I'd be up for that.
How are you feeling now after sharing that?
I always kind of feel a bit tense around it just because it's still happening.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things that I'm still kind of dealing with and I'm not certain about yet of like what another church community would look like am I like 100% ready to throw away some of these relationships? Yeah, and like how do I move forward as a Christian from here?
Yeah, really big ongoing thought processes that you're going through right now.
Yeah.
On top of everything else in life.
Yeah. Jeez, yeah.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing with me.
Yeah, thank you for listening.